Hey, how you doing? This is Craig Beck from StopDrinkingExpert.com. Welcome into your Monday meetup, your Monday Ask Me Anything. I'm going to try and do these live sessions at least a couple of times a week and try and get some consistency. So, you've always got a community, you've always got some support, no matter where you are on the sober journey, whether you're happily sober, then we need you to comment with your tips and suggestions and tell us what works and what doesn't work. If you're just starting out, or if you've not even started yet, if you're still drinking and you're at that point where you're questioning your drinking, where you're saying to yourself, have I got a problem? Is what I'm doing normal or not? Because I know how you feel. I spent years in that phase, questioning my drinking, but not really being in a place to address it full on. I would ask people at work, I would ask my colleagues, about their drinking. And I would get a big case of confirmation bias. I would listen to the people who drank more than me and say, that's proof that I don't have a problem. But I would ignore the people who thought that what I was doing was unhealthy, dangerous. So if you're at that point where you're questioning your drinking, ask me anything. Anything I can help with, I'll do my best, at least to give you a plausible answer anyway. So today, I want to give you my 3 tips to surviving your first sober week, because that first week is a tough one. Let me bring up the actual article that I'm talking about here. You can see it on the website. So if you go to stopdrinkingexpert.com, this is the blog article I wanted to talk about today. And it's my 3 tips to get you through that first week. And this is really important for your mindset, I think. By the way, if you've just joined us, don't forget to say hi. Just let me know you're there and you're with us. And if you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button, ring the bell so you get the notifications, and like and comment, because the more you get involved with this channel, the more YouTube will show you the videos. If you don't get involved, then you might miss quite a few of them. Hi to Martin, who says, every time I want to stop, I drink more. Okay, these questions we're going to come back to. Okay, I won't forget about you. Hi to Angela, greetings from Australia. Hi to Oscar as well. I see you. Hi, Jan. Coming back to your questions. Just going to start by talking about these 3 tips that I want to give you to help you in your first week. Now, tip number 1 is to stop making predictions. Human beings love making predictions. Sadly, we're appalling at it. We're very bad at it. And that is because most of our predictions come from a point of view of fear. It's a part of our fear programming. But we tend to make predictions and statements about the future that are ridiculous, because the future is unwritten. We have no control over it. And so a lot of people, they come to me and they say, I had a terrible night last night. It's the worst hangover I've ever had in my life, and I've decided I'm never drinking again. And that always rings an alarm bell for me, because how do you know you're never going to drink again? You're not a fortune teller. What you're saying is you intend never to drink again, but you're setting yourself up for failure. And so as much as possible, when you start this journey, stay out of the future. It's got nothing to do with you. And as good as a fortune teller you think you are, you're not. And our predictions are nearly always wrong. And that's the good predictions and the bad predictions. Also, thinking too long-term, putting your thoughts too much into the future is scary. Because then you're going to start thinking things like, seriously, I have to go the rest of my life without drinking alcohol? That's daunting, isn't it? That's like scary. You mean I can never have a birthday celebration with alcohol again? You mean I can never go through Thanksgiving or Christmas again without alcohol being involved? Never, never. Never is a scary word. And if you're using scary language and imagining scary things, then your brain as a drinker is programmed to cope with that anxiety and fear by doing one thing: drink alcohol. That's what us drinkers are programmed to pretty much address any problem in our life with, isn't it? We feel upset, we feel angry, we feel stressed, we feel tired, we feel excited. What do? We drink alcohol. So try not to scare yourself, because you're just making life more difficult than it needs to be. Stay in the present moment. I know that's a bit of a cliche, but your mindset going into this should be one of being present with gratitude. And what I mean by that is, don't look to the past, don't look to the future. Just say, I'm in this moment and I'm sober and I'm grateful for that. And we take that mentality forward with us. Every moment, I'm sober now. There's no alcohol in my system. I feel great. I'm grateful. Maybe I'll feel the same tomorrow. Maybe I'll feel the same in a week's time, but who knows? Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll drink. But right now, here in this moment, I'm sober, I'm happy, I'm grateful. That should be your mentality. Let's say hello to a few people who I'm missing here, because I can see my screen little flickering there to the right. Hi, Tim. Coming back to your messages, I just want to say hello for now. Hi, Philip. Hi, Ashok. Hi, JR. Slavi, welcome on in. Thank you. And Rhubarb is here as well. The legend that is Rhubarb is online. If you're new to this channel, don't be shy, say hello. We're all in the same boat here. That's what's so nice about this community. There is no judgment. There is nobody better or worse. We've all lost control of alcohol. We're all here to try and retake control of our lives. So today's video, I wanted to talk about these 3 tips. So the first one is be present and be in a state of sober gratitude. Tip number 2 is really important, because this will trip you up if you don't act on this one. Tip number 2, don't assume that nothing else is going to change. And what I mean by that is, a lot of people start this journey and they remove alcohol from their lives, but they want to do that in isolation. They want alcohol to be the only thing that changes. They want their life minus alcohol as it is. And that's difficult, because your life is going to change dramatically for the better. But there are going to be some things that change that are uncomfortable, unpleasant, and difficult to deal with, whether you like it or not. Now, trust me on this, the positives massively outweigh the negatives. But if you think that your routine is going to stay the same when you remove alcohol from your life, you're setting yourself up for a reality that has no chance of coming about. For example, if your weekly routine is to drink every night, sitting on the sofa with your husband or your wife, and then Friday night you go to the bar with the boys and you play pool and you drink and get drunk. On Saturdays you go bowling with the guys and drink beer and get drunk. And then you stop drinking and you think that everything else is going to stay the same and be just as it was. It's not. You know, going to play pool with the boys on a Friday night is going to feel very different. And it might irritate you because it feels like it's not as fun as it used to be. Some things are going to have to change, whether you like it or not. But now that sounds bad. All I can tell you is the upsides infinitely outweigh the negatives by a factor of 1,000,000. So being prepared is the key, is what I'm saying to you. Be prepared for your life to change and plan accordingly. Make sure that for the first month of your sobriety, your diary is ram-packed with stuff to do. Don't find yourself now sitting on the sofa Friday night because you don't want to go to the bar with your mates and play pool. So you're sitting there bored, lonely, and regretting your decision. Substitute all those negative behaviors with new positive ones. Takes a bit of work, takes a bit of effort, but it's important to do. Hi, Alice. Hi, Slavi. Welcome on in. Who else we got here? Phil, welcome as well. Before we come on to point 3, let me go and have a look at some of these comments here. If you're new to the channel and you want to ask a question, if you're worried about your drinking, now is the time to do it. You can post it up wherever you're watching, whether it's on Twitch, on YouTube, or Facebook, or wherever. Let's have a look at some of these questions here. So let's start with Martin. Every time I want to stop, I drink more. Yeah, unfortunately, the human brain is powerful, but we don't get a user's manual. It is quite capable of allowing us to do highly destructive things because of the way that the human brain is constructed. We have a conscious mind and an unconscious mind, a conscious and a subconscious. Now, the difference between the two is the conscious mind is an evaluation machine. It's always thinking, judging, asking questions. So your conscious mind is that part of your brain that goes, is that pan hot on the stove? How fast is that car approaching me? And what it does is very weak, but it can only do one or two things at a time. So it's doing this, and when it's made a decision, it passes the command over to the subconscious mind. So your conscious mind doesn't really do anything. For example, Martin, for me to take my finger and move it to touch my nose, this may feel like it's a conscious decision, but actually this movement requires something like 57 different muscle coordinations. It's too complex a task for your conscious mind to do. So basically, we make the decision, I want to move my finger, and then we pass it to the subconscious mind for completion. So when you consciously say, that's it, I'm quitting drinking, you cause a sensation of worry and anxiety. And like I said before, what do drinkers do when they feel worried or anxious? They drink. Why? Because you've trained your subconscious mind over decades, probably, that the solution for anxiousness and worry is alcohol. Now, a really important thing to know about the subconscious mind is it doesn't question at all. Your conscious mind is constantly questioning and judging. The subconscious mind never questions your decision, just completes. So you say, I'm never drinking again. You feel anxious, on edge, and jittery. Your subconscious mind goes, I recognize this sensation. How do we deal with this sensation? Okay, we run the alcohol program. So it's annoying, but kind of being aware of what's going on is the solution to understand what is happening in your head. And that's why in the course that I do online, it's all about changing your conditioning, changing your belief structure. This is not like, the 12 steps where you have to have faith and give your problem to a higher power, because that's not how my brain works. I need logic, I need common sense. And that's what this course is about. It's about me explaining to you in common sense what's going on and how you deal with it. Hope that helps. Oscar says, why is it when you're hungover and have gastritis that drinking again makes it go away? It probably doesn't make it go away, Oscar. What alcohol's very good at doing is covering up problems. I get a lot of people who stop drinking and say, well, now I've stopped drinking, this has flared up. So maybe alcohol was helping. It wasn't helping, it was just disguising it, because alcohol is a mild anesthetic. It's like if you hit yourself on the hand with a hammer, and then I gave you some morphine, you might think that the hammer didn't hurt you at all. It's not. It's just you applied something that helped, if you see what I mean. So I'd say it's unlikely that your gastritis gets better because of alcohol, because if you think about it, that doesn't make any sense at all. Alcohol irritates the stomach and irritates the esophagus to the point where, it increases your chance of getting cancer in those regions. So it is actually impossible that the alcohol is a solution. It's a much more likely probability that alcohol is covering up the problem by slightly anesthetizing your pain. Lots more questions coming up. I will get to you, I promise. Let's just go back to my article here and talk about point 3. Otherwise, I'll forget to do it. Okay, tip number 3. Don't give alcohol more power than it deserves. It's when you decide to quit drinking, it's daunting. And I guess for a long time you're going to think, but how can I consider living the rest of my life without ever drinking again? And like I said before, that's a scary proposition. And you tell people you're quitting drinking, and some of them will say, "Oh, hardest drug to get off in the world, harder than heroin to get off alcohol." I've heard people say that. And then you've got the marketing machine of the alcohol industry that's making statements like, stopping drinking kills you. It's very dangerous to stop drinking. And that creates more anxiety and panic. Look, in my experience, quitting drinking for problem drinkers, not alcoholics, for problem drinkers is no more difficult than making any other big physical change in your life, like going to the gym. Yeah. When you finally realize you just can't sit on the sofa anymore, stuffing your face, and you think, that's it, I've got to go to the gym. What does it feel like the first time you go to the gym? It's horrible, isn't it? Every single second that you're in there feels like an hour. You set the treadmill to 20 minutes and it's like 2 weeks. It feels horrible. You hate it. And you're glad to get it over with. And you go back the next day and it's horrible again. You go back to the next day and it still sucks. You go back the fourth day, you can't believe that it's this difficult to keep exercising. And you're in this mentality for a long time. And then after about 20, 21 days, something like a couple of weeks of doing this, you wake up one morning and you find something's changed. You find you're excited to go to the gym. And that's the same with alcohol. The first day you stop drinking, it might feel really awkward and horrible. And you might think, well, how am I going to get to sleep at night? How am I going to have the confidence to socialize? How am I going to do this? Oh, life's horrible. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. But if you just keep doing it, you will get to the point where you wake up one morning and you go, you know what? I love sober. Sober rocks. And this is the same with everything. It's the same. If you went vegetarian or you went vegan, you wouldn't just wake up one morning in your new vegan life and go, yay, everything's brilliant. You would miss bacon sandwiches. You would miss being able to buy clothes wherever you wanted, leather shoes and leather belts and all the things you didn't think about. For a while, being vegan would suck big time. And then eventually you would get used to it and being vegan would become a part of who you are as a person. It's the same with alcohol. It's no different. Eventually, if you just keep doing this one day after another, eventually you'll get to a point where sobriety is a part of who you are as a person. So don't make alcohol more powerful than it really is. Don't give it that power. It is not a powerful drug. It's just you're in a loop with it. Yeah. So they're my 3 tips, and I hope that helps. Let's go to these questions because I'm missing lots. And thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're finding these live sessions useful. Tim says, a massive Lego set helped me with the first weekend off the booze. Exactly. Have a plan. Have something you love doing. Philip, day 2 sober again. Did 3 days last week, though. One day at a time, Philip. Never stop trying. That's the thing. Never give up. You'll find something that, works for you. But congratulations on day 2. Now, trust me on this. If you can get to day 14, things are going to start to get a lot easier because you're outside the physical kick of the drug then. Day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, the drug has the power to kick you. You know that sensation you get, Philip, when it's the end of the day or you've had a stressful moment and you get that kind of jittery sensation where you go, oh, could do with a drink. That is the drug kicking you. Carrot and stick. Now, if you can just get to 2 weeks without drinking, that gets so much easier. I promise you. Ashok, Valentine's Day, 2 years alcohol-free. Best decision ever. Congratulations, my friend. That is absolutely awesome. And in 2 years, you must be seeing some real significant benefits now. Health, mental health as well. Fantastic. Slavi, good morning. JR, welcome. Martin aiming for 90 days. Tim says, it was the fear of not drinking ever again. One day at a time. Exactly, one day at a time. Rhubarb, from 20 cans of lager and a small bottle of vodka a day to 0 on the 9th of Jan, 13 months already. 14 months on. With your help, no more poison drug in my life. Absolutely legendary. Thank you. Well done, Rhubarb. Fantastic. Philip, I can live without beer. Just don't take away my coffee. I'm with you. Although my wife made a mistake, Philip. We've been drinking decaf for about 6 months now. And my wife accidentally bought caffeinated coffee. I feel like I'm a 3-year-old toddler bouncing off the walls. Slavi, good morning from California. You're very welcome. My son lives in California now, Slavi. Alice, 10 days free. Feeling good. Thanks for the motivation. Well done, Alice. You're a superstar. Keep going. Another 4 days and you're out of that kick. Things get easier, remember. Stephen Mark Thomas, hi, mate. Welcome. Lanzana, hi. JR makes a good point. You've all made an amazing choice just by being here. You have. You're in a quite elite bunch of people. The vast majority of people worried about their drinking never do anything about it. Just keep pushing it to the back of their mind. That's why these are the same sort of people that, you know, when you turn up and don't drink in their company, they get really upset with you. They tell you you're a party pooper, spoiling the fun, because your high standards keep highlighting their low standards, and it psychologically irritates them. Hi, Philip. Welcome on in. Let's have a look. Slavi says, I started to listen to you over a year ago, and the change in my life has become massive in a positive direction on every level, financially, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and relationship-wise. I agree with you, Slavi. Sober living after you've been a heavy drinker, it's hard to find the words to express how much better life is, how much more optimistic you feel about everything. The words don't exist. In many ways, I hear people who have had like near-death experiences, and when they recount their story, they always say, I can't really explain to you what I went through because the words don't exist. And honestly, it's the same with alcohol. When you get this poison out of your life, you say to people, I've never felt better. And then you instantly think, nah, that's not it. Because there just doesn't seem to be a way to explain how good it feels to get this crap out of your life. 16 days is good, Stephen. Keep going. Fantastic. Let's have another question from Stephen. 16 days, what am I to expect over the next month or so? Feeling great, but would love to know what to expect in advance. Day 16, like I said, you're out of the kick. You're out of the physical bit of the addiction, Stephen. So, but that doesn't mean you're not going to get a craving to drink. What it means is if you do get a craving to drink, it's got nothing to do with alcohol. It is 100% down to psychological conditioning or Pavlovian conditioning, if you want. You know the story of Ivan Pavlov and his dogs. He would ring the bell, feed the dogs, ring the bell, feed the dogs, ring the bell, feed the dogs. And then after a while of doing this, he didn't have to feed the dogs. He'd just ring the bell and the dogs would act like food was available. They would salivate. They would expect food. Now, you've been doing this for years with alcohol. You've gone into a social situation, alcohol. You felt stressed, alcohol. You felt tired, alcohol. You felt this, alcohol. And you've done it so many times that your subconscious mind has said, okay, this is a regular part of this guy's life. Let's create some programs to make it automatic. So now, because you have this physical piece of meat in your head, when you walk into an anxious situation or you go on vacation, you instantly feel like, I could do with a drink. It's because you stood on an anchor, all right? So, in the course, I talk about how you deal with that. And, there's various things. There's kind of distraction therapy. There's tapping you can do. There's subliminal techniques. But just understand that once you're outside the kick, once you're outside the first couple of weeks of sobriety, if you get a craving to drink, it's got nothing to do with alcohol. It's purely up here, just something in your head. Now, as long as you don't respond to that cue, those programs in your head will slowly get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until eventually they become powerless. All right? So just know that things will come up because you're going to walk through life standing on anchors every now and again. Just know that as long as you don't respond to those anchors and you kind of step back and see them from a third party point of view, as long as you don't react to them, every time you do that, they get a fraction of 1% weaker. Okay. Johnny Cola's here. Johnny Cola, 86. I watched another alcohol channel, which the guy deleted. He turned nasty to all his subs. I think he went back on the booze. Unlike you, his heart wasn't in helping others. You know, yeah, you might be right. I don't know which one you're talking about. But relapse happens, you know. And I suppose it depends on whether you let relapse beat you. It's like that old Rocky saying, isn't it? It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and then keep moving forward. Occasionally, you'll have a slip up. You'll drink alcohol and it'll throw you off course. And sometimes even for months. The secret is that you got to keep getting back up off the mat. You got to keep moving forward. And I always describe this as, this problem drinking that we have. It's a bit like going to the doctor and being told you've got diabetes. And the doctor says to you, look, I'm really sorry about this. You've got diabetes, but if you watch what you eat and you take these tablets, you should have a relatively normal life. Your lifespan should be exactly as it was, just needs a bit of care. So you follow his instructions, and for 2 years, no problem. And then suddenly out of the blue, for whatever reason, you have a diabetic episode and you feel terrible, you feel ill, you're in bed all day, and it's awful. You wouldn't respond to that by saying, well, that's it, I'm not taking this medicine anymore and throwing it away, would you? I'm just going to eat what I want from now on because it obviously didn't work. You wouldn't respond. You'd say, okay, had a bit of a flare up. And then you'd continue doing exactly what you had been doing every day for 2 years, wouldn't you? It's the same with alcohol. And it's back to my third point. Don't give alcohol more power than it deserves. If you have a slip up, dust yourself down, quietly start again. There's no need for drama. There's no need to tell everyone about it. It's, whoops, it happened. Carry on. Who knows what happened to that guy, Johnny? But yeah, you could be right. Or he could be on other drugs and they're affecting his mental state as well. Rhubarb says, common sense that alcohol is not for consumption. It's good to make petrol more powerful only. Yeah. This pandemic has highlighted that, hasn't it? Here we've got a virus going around, a living organism floating around, making us all ill. How are we killing it? With alcohol. Because it destroys life. It pulls all the moisture outside of cells and causes them to implode. It's like thermonuclear war in a handy little pump bottle. And yet we think that by diluting that with a bit of cranberry juice, it's not doing the same thing on the inside of us. Crazy, right? I hear this a lot, Martin. So many people say to me, I've got anxiety, and the only thing that helps is alcohol. And it's a vicious circle because, look, I know this is my loan shark story that I'm sure you're bored with because I've said it so many times. Dealing with anxiety by drinking alcohol is like dealing with your debt problem by going to the mob, like going to a loan shark. You might say, well, Craig, I've got no money and I can't afford to eat. And when I go to the mob and get a loan, I can eat. Therefore, my problem has been solved, hasn't it? Well, yeah, kind of. But my God, you've got a much bigger problem now because the mob are after you. Do you see what I mean? Alcohol causes anxiety. That's how it motivates us. That jittery sensation is just a mild form of anxiety that the alcohol created. And the alcohol is there going, you don't need to feel like this. Drink me and I'll make it go away for you. And it does. But then it's going to bring it back 24 hours later, much bigger. And so you get into this cycle, this illusion that you believe that alcohol helps you with anxiety when actually alcohol is creating the anxiety. So that sounds very logical and sensible, I know, but it doesn't help you, does it, Martin? That you're thinking, well, yeah, but still, Craig, you've just told me not to drink alcohol when alcohol helps me. You have to separate these two things. Your anxiety and your alcohol are two different things. You need to stop drinking, and then you need to deal with the anxiety You need to find a different way to deal with it. And perhaps the first step is with your GP to talk about that. Maybe there's some prescription medication you can go on for your anxiety. That means that you're not using a very poor solution like alcohol to it. But they're two separate things. But trust me on this. It's like using a loan shark to pay off your debt. It doesn't work. I wish you had a username I could say. You should talk about drinking and COVID. So many sober people are now drinking heavily because like I'm probably going to die anyway. So why not enjoy the rest of my life? Yeah. That's an old one, isn't it? You know, you say to people, you know, you should quit drinking or you should stop smoking. And they go, oh, you know, we're all going to die. Yeah. It's not a great argument though, is it? I mean, I've got a friend who's a pharmacist and he smokes cigarettes. And I say to him, oh, come on, you know what cigarettes do. Why do you smoke them? And he said, listen, my friend, he said, us smokers, we live a shorter life, but a better life. Yeah, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. I mean, if dying in agony with cancer is a better life, then I don't know what is. Yeah, you know, that's just one of those examples of plausible deniability. You know, little things that you say to yourself that are convenient lies that you can just about get on board with. Like alcohol's I've got so many problems in my life. I've got debt, relationship problems, and my career's going nowhere. Alcohol's my only treat. You're not going to take that away from me as well. Otherwise, I'll have nothing. These are just the lies that we tell ourselves. I used to tell myself that I couldn't get to sleep. I was an insomniac and I couldn't get to sleep without alcohol. And therefore, if I didn't drink alcohol, I'd be exhausted the next day. My career had gone downhill. I'd get fired, blah, blah, blah. And I had this whole narrative about why I just needed alcohol to get to sleep at night. It was bullshit, same as all the other stories. I'm just keeping an eye on the time, guys, because in 20 minutes I got to do a coaching session with someone, so we'll wrap up fairly soon. I'll try and get a few more questions up first. Dev Stone, I've been drinking every day for 10 years. I'm 26 years old. Whenever I try to stop, I feel dizzy. My hands tremble with fear. I can never go more than 24 hours of not drinking. Can you help me? Dev, it kind of depends on how much you're drinking and whether you're physically addicted to alcohol or not. I'm not a doctor, and that's why down there at the bottom of the screen it says not medical advice, because I'm not here to replace your doctor. I'm also incapable of helping people who are physically addicted to alcohol. All I can do is guide problem drinkers who are psychologically addicted out of the maze to a certain extent. I don't know whether you're physically addicted or psychologically addicted because I don't know you. And it's not the sort of judgment I can make. You need to have a conversation with your GP. And I know that might be difficult and embarrassing, but if you are physically addicted to alcohol, quitting cold turkey, it could be dangerous. You know, that shaking could be a symptom of withdrawal. If you've got underlying health problems, you know, that withdrawal process can aggravate them. So step one, speak to your GP. You know, it's going to be confidential. I know it's embarrassing, but they don't share this information with anyone. And if you want to see a different GP than you would normally see, but have that conversation, say, look, I've been drinking heavily for 10 years. When I stop, I get shakes. Do you think I'm physically addicted? Is there any medication you can give me? Is there any supervised withdrawal program I can go through? I know in Australia, they tell me that they have nurses that come around and check on you every day for a week. Fantastic. Never heard of that happening in any other country, but in Australia, I believe it's an option. Angela, do you have any comments on a condition called fetal alcohol syndrome? Children born from mothers who drink heavily during their pregnancy, thus causing the child to have neurological disorders. Only in highlighting that it exists, Angela. I mean, there's not a lot to say about it. That's exactly what alcohol does to an unborn baby. If you drink when you're pregnant, that's the risk you run. That's why it's so horrendous to see pregnant women with a glass of, Pinot Grigio in their hand. Smoking and drinking alcohol will harm your baby. That's just the reality of it. There's no denying it. It's not a debatable point. So I don't have a lot to say about it, apart from agree that is a side effect of this attractively packaged poison that's heavily marketed to stay-at-home mums. And what's my stance on women who choose to drink during pregnancy? I don't think any doctor believes that a certain amount of alcohol during pregnancy is safe. I think it's a compromise when they do that. I think they're sitting in front of people who are terrified at the thought of not having a drink for 9 months, and they say, well, look, if you must have one small glass a day and no more, it's a compromise. It's not like saying that's healthy or that should be fine. It's like the doctor's a realist, and he knows that they're probably not going to be a saint, so let's give them at least something. It's like when you say to a doctor, when the doctor says to you, how much do you drink? And you tell them, they always double it. You say you drink a couple of glasses of wine a day, they double it because they know what we're like. I've drank more tea in 2 weeks than my grandmother has in her whole life. Yeah. Well, at least you're drinking tea. I can't drink coffee. It causes anxiety and sleeplessness. Me too. Especially since I went decaf. Honestly, I was walking around with the jitters for about 2 days. Reverse done. I was 9 months sober, then relapsed. Now I'm day 12. Realized I'm a man out of shape. BMI is 19, but really hate 19. That's really low. But I really hate the whole gym idea and the stereotypes it brings. So I just started working out in my home. Yeah. You know what? If you hate the gym, don't do the gym. Because if you hate it, eventually you're just going to stop going. Don't do stuff that you don't like. Do something that you do. If it was up to me, I wouldn't go to the gym at all. I would go to judo. I used to love judo, martial arts. But because I'm old now, because I'm 47, 48 this year, I've got a dodgy hip. And if you know anything about judo, you can't really do judo with a dodgy hip. So unfortunately, I have to go to the gym, but I can just about tolerate it. Let's have a look. I wish my BMI was 19. Yeah, me too. Lockdown's been so bad for me. I've just stuffed my face. Thankfully, I'm coming down again now. Slavy, I'm feeling outstanding these days. Even on a shitty day, it's still more joyful than being under, just because I can make logical decisions without being super emotional. Yeah. So many benefits. GMB. Common sense, don't drink, it's easy. You're just making money. Okay. It's a free YouTube channel. Yeah. I haven't bought a Lamborghini yet off the back of YouTube. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Why are you here? If stopping drinking is easy for you, why are you even here? Neo, I watched one of your videos today, decided to quit, bought your program. It's great. Thank you. Well done, Neo. Keep going. Stick to it. Hi from Dublin. Gran. No, someone from Dublin's here. Sugar. You know, I used to do these quit drinking boot camps around the world. Do you know the one that was least attended was Dublin? Maybe it's a mentality thing, but I've been, Chicago, Sydney, Australia, Toronto, Canada, London, been Nashville, Party Town, Nashville, all full rooms. Went to Dublin. I think we had 5 people. Very embarrassing. Shiel, is that your name? Forgive me if I said it wrong. Here in the Netherlands, all shops were closed last month except supermarkets and liquor shops. The governments think that booze will help. True. In the UK, in lockdown last year, I think alcohol shops were designated essential supplies. Isn't that crazy? It doesn't happen with any other drug, does it? They didn't say cigarette shops are essential. Drug dealers, heroin dealers, essential key workers. Doesn't happen, only with this drug. Rhonda Lemon, is it safe for me to try and quit totally? Rhonda, I'll refer you back to the comment I made before. It's impossible for me to say without knowing you. If you're physically addicted to alcohol, you need to see your GP. And look, any big health change you make, if you're my age, if you're 48 years old and you suddenly go on a diet, it's best to go and see your doctor first and tell him what you're about to do, or tell her what you're about to do. Just, look after yourself. Don't gamble. How do you know if you're physically addicted to alcohol? Well, look, the difference between problem drinkers and alcoholics is problem drinkers are in a loop with their drinking, but they're quite capable of stopping. And quite often they do. They say, "Oh, I'm not drinking this week," and they don't, or they do dry January, and then they start again. And they don't have that. They're not devastated by stopping drinking. They're able to stop, and they're able to start, and they're not physically addicted. They're psychologically addicted. It's become a routine now that when the kids go to bed, they open the wine, and when they don't do that, it feels awkward, feels jittery, and they don't like it. Now, people who are physically addicted to alcohol, they can't do that because they're going to feel terrible. They're going to get the shakes, the DTs that people talk about. They're going to tremble and have foggy brains and not be able to concentrate and think. There is a severe physical response to not drinking alcohol from these people. Basically because their bodies have got used to alcohol being in the system. And so it's kind of a self-preservation mechanism. It said, look, if you're going to drink poison continuously, we better learn to live with it as long as we can. And so your whole body, your whole system adjusts to having a constant supply of poison available. And when you remove the poison, it's a bit like removing oxygen. How would you feel if there was no oxygen? It would be awful, wouldn't it? You would feel a physical response. So the problem is it's not something you can just do a test to see. If you're drinking heavily, you don't really want to just quit suddenly to see if you're physically addicted. You need medical help. You need to be a professional. I'm not a doctor. So just go and see your GP is the message. Last couple of mentions. I feel old, Rhubarb. I've got a 24-year-old son living in America. I've got a 20-year-old daughter, got a dodgy hip and arthritis in my left hand. I feel old. I'm telling you about it. Gustav, hello from Sweden. Sober 13 months. You absolute legend. Well done, Gustav. That's fantastic. Let's just see if I missed anyone, and we're going to wrap up for today. I'm going to do another one of these, hopefully Wednesday. I'm going to try and do a couple of weeks. So if you've got a question that you didn't ask and it's still there, hold on to it. We'll come back Wednesday and do it again. This episode will be available to rewatch on YouTube. It'll also be available as a podcast download as well. So if you go to iTunes or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts from, you can get all of these as an audio download as well. If you're new here today, don't forget, click that subscribe button, click the notification bell so that you get told when I put one of these out and you get the update. So we've done 44 minutes together today. Thank you so much. Well, let me remove Gustav's comment there. Hopefully see you in a couple of days' time. And remember, take it one day at a time. Thanks so much for watching. Speak soon.
Imagine waking up tomorrow. No hangover. No feelings of guilt or regret. Just full of energy and vitality. That goal is not only possible, it's easily achievable. Find out how 200,000 people just like you have rediscovered their happy, sober lives using the Stop Drinking Expert program. Reserve your place on today's free Quit Drinking webinar and get a copy of my best-selling book, Alcohol Lied to Me, as a free gift just for turning up.